Welcome back to another match preview here at the Gallagher Stadium. It's for our third away game of the season, and this one's at Boreham Wood. So before we look at the Boreham Wood trip, we must briefly acknowledge the last two results. The loss at home to Weston-super-Mare on the bank holiday Monday, but before that, the goalless draw at Chippenham on Saturday. Nigel, thoughts on Chippenham first?
It was a game like we said it was going to be, didn't we? We had the better of the second half, we couldn't score, and it's like Darren said on the hot take, if you're not scoring goals, you're always going to be under pressure, aren't you? Thankfully, Chippenham didn't score, but, it was just, the positive signs were there, but for me, the positive signs would have been even more positive if we'd have followed that up on the Bank Holiday Monday. But the fact that we then put in the performance that again, a sort of par performance, but without scoring that goal, you get that situation that happened at Western against Western. We switched off from a corner, and Sam Corn was off the pitch at the time, and these things happen. We are playing at level 6, aren't we? So we're not Premier League players. Mistakes will happen, and if you're not scoring the goals, then they're going to be costly, and they are at the moment. And I think that's just the way that it's going at the moment, isn't it? That every mistake we make is getting punished, and we're just not getting that rub of the green when we do get in that area. Getting decisions go our way, and play's not that continuous, free-flowing football that all the fans want to see, isn't it? So it just adds to that sort of like, the longer it goes on, that pressure just builds. It's like a pressure cooker, isn't it?
I mean, as you say, with Western, there were some signs. Personally, I thought, commentating on it, the first hour or so, I don't think it was anything spectacular, but certainly I would venture to say we were the better side to a degree. But the moment that we switched off from that corner down there, and Kadri just comes out of shot from nowhere, swings that one in, it's just that the nous, the football brain was switched off temporarily, and like you say, it's moments like that we've been punished for this season so far.
And I think as well, the management and the team are all sort of, there's a lot more expectation on us this year. Last year we'd come down, nobody really knew what to expect. We retained a lot of the core of the players that were here before. We was at a low ebb, so we was going into every game, playing the underdogs. But there's a lot more expectation on us this season, not just from the fan base at Maidstone, which is very vocal anyway, but from the outside media, because of that FA Cup run, and we've said it many times. You can go back and say it was last season, but there is that expectation there. The players that we've brought in, the summer recruitment has been good, but it's just not happening. It's just not clicking at the moment. But I firmly believe it will come. I can't. They're just too good of a squad and group of players, and the sort of like what you're getting out of the team. They're all remaining positive. They're all on social media saying, stick with us, it will come. So that's all you can do as fans. That's all you can do, isn't it? As support, Yeah. George gets paid to do what he gets paid to do. The players get paid to do what they get paid to do, and we pay our money to come in. I get it that people work hard and they want to come in, and they can voice their opinion. So be it. But only the team can put it right. Only George can put it right. So you just got to stick with it and just sort of like, give that encouragement. And as George said last year, all through that FA Cup run, believe. He knows what he's doing. He's going to make mistakes. He's still in his, it is only his second full year. But, I say, that expectation level's raised. It's been ramped up that little bit extra. And with Boreham Wood and Dorking coming into the league, and Torquay having a little bit of a revival as well, there's a lot more pressure on it. There's a lot more big games. Yeah. So, which brings us on to Boreham Wood.
Does indeed. So to Boreham Wood, after their relegation from the National League, Luke Garrard left after 9 years in charge. He was replaced by Ross Jenkins from an also relegated Oxford City. Thoughts on that change at the top of management there, Nige?
For so long, Luke Garrard and Boreham Wood, went together like Laurel and Hardy. Whatever combination you want to choose, and they were synonymous with each other, wasn't they? But it's kind of similar to us under Jay, I suppose. You get to a point where a change just needs to happen. Yeah. You just need a fresh face in there, and they've gone in a different direction with Ross Jenkins. He's obviously up and coming coach. He took Oxford City up from the National South a couple of seasons ago. Played a different brand of football, I think, to what Luke Garrard used to play. So he's kind of got a few of these players in, but he's done similar to what we did when we came down last year. They've kept a lot of that experience there in Chris Bush and Nathan Ashmore. We'll come on to their players in a minute, but they've got that core of experienced players there. So and they're fine. They're not they're not running away with it by any means. They're coming off the back of a 2-1 defeat, and they was the leading at half time in that game. So Salisbury's come back in the second half and got the win there. So they're coming off of a indifferent set of results. So but no, by far running away with it. Is what everyone's sort of making out that they're going to be playing like Manchester City. I think they're still sort of finding their way and the formations that they want to play. So it's going to be an interesting game, I think.
So you've already mentioned him there, Nigel, only the one goalkeeper on the Woods books at present. We all know about him. He's a very infamous figure. Nathan Ashmore, a cult figure almost in our neck of the woods in National League South. And he's always one of the best keepers. Whichever division he's in, he's always up there, isn't he?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he is a very good keeper. And, he's somebody that through the years, I'd have loved to have seen playing down here at Maidstone. He's one of those sort of like love-hate characters, isn't he? Fans give him banter, but he gives back as good as he gets, which is what it's all about, isn't it? We said that about Alan Julian a few weeks ago when he came down here with Hampton Richmond. He's another one like that. We know of his antics when he was up the road at Ebbsfleet, in them years when they was up there in the National League South, and before that he came down here with Gosport, I remember, and he's always sort of like had a good sort of banter relationship with the Maidstone crowds, which is what it's all about at this level, isn't it? And on top of that, he's a good goalkeeper. Do you know what I mean? He's a very good shot stopper, and he's a very sort of bulky. He feels that goal, doesn't he? And so if you're running on goal and you've got him coming out to you, which he does a lot, it's going to be, you've got to be sure where you're going to put the ball, because if you're in two minds, that's his advantage. Or very much sort of Schmeichel-esque, isn't he, when he comes out there? So very much a recognised figure around this level. So it's going to be difficult. It's going to be difficult, I think, to get part. But we're coming off of the back of a sort of dodgy result, so anything can happen, can't it? So it's going to be on the day. Hopefully, he has a bad game.
Fingers crossed. So the defenders at Boreham Wood, Cameron Cox, Chris Bush, and Olu Elisanmi, all retained from last season. Josh Hare joined from the Daggers, former Stone, an opponent again we know all too well, having come up against him at several other clubs since he left the Gallagher in 2018. Charlie O'Connell has joined for an undisclosed fee from League One Peterborough. He was on loan with Ross Jenkins at Oxford City at the end of last season. So a lot of experience in that back line, Nigel, and again, as I mentioned, someone very familiar to Stones fans in Josh Hare.
Yeah, exactly. Josh Hare, I think he still lives in and around the Maidstone area even now, so he's certainly going to be aware of what's going on around sort of Maidstone. And I think as a lot of the players were, they're all experienced players, aren't they? We've come up against them many times. There's going to be, we've sat here with these previous preview videos and said, you don't know what team's going to turn up. These players. It's not going to be. It's not difficult to scout them. You know what they do. You know the formations they play, and like you say, there's a lot of experience there. You mentioned about Ashmore being the only keeper. Of course, Chris Bush went in goal for Bromley, didn't he? A couple of seasons ago when their keeper got injured and he played 20 minutes. He didn't look out of place at all. He's very confident as a goalkeeper. So if you're a mainstay in their team and in their squad, you don't need it to properly back up if you've got somebody of his ability and height and agility that can go in goal. So.
And having that ability to use all 5 substitutes on the bench this season as well, by having that auxiliary
exactly.
keeper
And he's another one who's he's a very much of a long throw specialist as well, Chris Bush, isn't he? So.
Well, that goes with the goalkeeping, to be fair, you'd think.
Of course it does, exactly that. So that's obviously something that they're going to do their scouting on, and everybody knows it. It's not as if it's going to come as it shouldn't come as a surprise. As I say, you know the players that Boreham Wood have got. All the fans know the players that Boreham Wood have got.
In the midfield, David Agbontahoma, Jack Payne, Mo Sagath and Tom Whelan were all retained from last season. Eric Sosa, who was signed up again after leaving at the end of last season. He had 13 goal involvements in 35 games in the 23-24 season. He was the manager's, players and supporters player of the year last season, so quite the coup to keep him. Johnny Goddard had signed on from Slough Town. He had 16 goals last season. Gus Mafuta joins on loan from Solihull Moors for the season. He'd had 2 seasons with the Wood previously, playing in both of their most memorable FA Cup runs. So some infamous names there, Nigel, from Wood's recent past to one of Slough's best as well.
Yeah, again, a lot of these players will know. It's not just the fans we're talking about that know them all. The players would have played with them. Benton would have been at Solihull last year with Mafufa. We've said it on these. I just said it there as well. We've said it on these videos. A lot of these films, when we come up to them, you think, "Oh, I don't know that player. I don't know that player." You're guessing, but you know all these players, don't you? Yeah. Johnny Goddard. He caused us havoc last year for Slough, and he hasn't been getting in their side, has he? So.
Natariko Susu is just one of those material talents that.
Of course, he is. He started the season off. I think he scored. I saw highlights reel when they played Dorking. He scored a goal. He likes to shoot from outside the area, and I think he's the one that's taken over that sort of Andrade mantle. On the wing, plays on the wing, cutting inside. Getting a shot off. So it's going to certainly keep our defenders on their toes and our midfielders. There's dangers all around. There's little fires all around the pitch. It's going to be, and I think in a way that might help our team, because the games that we've been playing, teams have definitely come with a plan of, keeping it solid, trying to catch us on the break, asking us the questions to break them down. But Boreham Wood are going to be at home. This is going to be their first big game they've got. It's against a recognised name. I've seen an interview with Danny Hunter where he's kind of said, Maidstone and Dorking are going to be their main rivals this season. So, that they're going to want to sort of like big it up. They're going to want to come out and put a marker in, get a statement for their fans. I know they haven't got a very big fan base, but they want to get them on side, don't they? After coming down last season. So, what better way to do it? They're not going to come in and just, I don't think that's in their style anyway, to sit back with the players they've got. So, in a weird kind of way, that might kind of help us.
So in the forward line, Charles Claydon, Lee Undlove and Kweshi Apaya, they all retained from last season's relegation campaign. Tyrone Marsh has extended for the upcoming season. He's a real fan favourite at the Wood. Abdul Malik is signed on for a free transfer from Millwall. He was on loan at Wealdstone last season. So again, seems quite a common theme, a mix of youth and experience again, Nigel. A lot of familiar names from last season, and they may fare better one step below potentially.
Yeah, I mean, it's very difficult when you break down why Boreham Wood was. They went from playoffs to being relegated. With virtually the same set of players. I suppose they kind of sleepwalked into it, because you're always going to be thinking you're never in danger. They were the ones that were dropping, weren't they? And you kind of like we said in our preview shows with Mark White, that bottom of that National League last year was so congested, from 14th down to 23rd, I think, at one stage, with like
sort of
five or six games to go. There was only 4 or 5 points, and teams have got games in hand. Wealdstone had a lot of games in hand. So, but although you're ahead of them on points, you're thinking, well, they don't win that, and they did. They won enough games to get themselves out of it, and they literally was sucked right into it, and it just came down to a shootout at the end between them and Ebbsfleet, and Ebbsfleet got the point they needed, didn't they? If Boreham Wood would have scored a goal, then they'd have stayed up, and it would have been a whole different story. But again, you look at it and you think, you can't see why they've got relegated, because they're all experienced players. But I think it's just that sort of like tightness of that league last year that you'll see it loads of times, and they've dropped down. But what they have managed to do is they've managed to keep that consistency of core players, which I think will help them. So yeah, it's all sort of setting up for a good game, isn't it? And I've seen on a lot of the forums and that people say, we don't have a good record against Boreham Wood, but I think it's 5 wins for Boreham Wood and 3 for us. And sort of a crumb of comfort that I've sort of found there is that literally when we've been at our lowest ebbs, we've managed to pull out a result at Boreham Wood. I remember that very first season we got promoted to the National League under Jay. It was a Bank Holiday Monday game, and they literally outplayed us for 90 minutes, and Loco popped up at the end with a header and stole all 3 points. And then, of course, they were our opponents here at the Gallagher Stadium when we finally confirmed our place in the National League that first season. We actually did the double over them that first season. And then we managed to sort of outhouse a win in between Christmas and New Year between Dover or the 2 Dover games, wasn't it? When Harry Wheeler got sacked after that Boxing Day debacle, and we managed to go there on the Saturday in between Christmas and New Year, and I say get a win and temporarily restore that little bit of pride back in it. So it's never, you can't look at things and think, oh, it's Boreham Wood, we're going to get absolutely slaughtered, because like I just said, we're still finding our feet, they're still finding their feet, and it's going to be 2 teams that are just going to go at each other, I think, and it'll either be a drubbing or a 5-4 either way. Do you know what I mean? It could be, or it could be like, or it could be just like a 1-0 nick by either team. I think you can't look at previous results and think that's going to follow that pattern. I think it's just a case of, both teams are finding their feet, and hopefully our luck will turn, and we just get that little bit of luck go our way, and we manage to get the 3 points. I mean, we've said it before. You just want someone like Aaron Blair to score a goal off his backside or something like that. That might be just a little catalyst that we need to just pick up that momentum and get us going. A result like this, and would do wonders, wouldn't it?
It's just to tidy up all the head-to-head stuff that Nigel's alluded to there. In the last 18 meetings, 11 of them have been won by the away side. Boreham Wood winning 6 of the last 7 overall. But the Stones, you've already mentioned, their last win there was a late 2018 1-0 win. It was an early Cassidy goal, that particular one. So certainly Boreham Wood, as we've already mentioned, probably more successful in the recent past. But I don't think, as you say, it's going to have too much of a bearing on Saturday's result,
I don't think so. I mean, I was saying one footnote there that I didn't mention is obviously they was the one that came here towards the end of the season in our last National League campaign and got the result that actually did confirm our relegation. So
yes, our first ever hot take. How wonderful. Memories. So the early season form for Boreham Wood in the league, they had a 1-0 home win against Bath, a 2-1 win at Chesham, 2-2 at Dorking, and then a 3-0 home win against Weymouth. And then they've suffered their first defeat of the season at newly promoted Salisbury on the bank holiday Monday, which Nigel intimated. So 100% home record in their first 2 there, and clean sheets in both. You mentioned before, Nigel, that these funny results get thrown up early on in the season. Obviously Boreham Wood, with that Salisbury defeat, you'd think they want to turn that round straight away on Saturday. Do you think that can be a likely outcome for them, or will the Stones be able to overturn their slightly longer winless streak?
Well, yeah, I mean, our winless streak's only 4 games, isn't it? So, and we are yet to concede a goal away from home. Looking at the positives. So, yeah, I just think it's just going to be a game on the day, isn't it? I don't think at this stage of the season, you've got 2 teams that I think will be up there at the end of the season, and it's just going to be sparring, isn't it? It's just going to be hopefully hopefully the Stones will land a blow and get that, but it means nothing, isn't it? The leagues are not won at this time, as George said. You don't even look at the table really. It's it'd just be a morale boosting for us if we can get the win. Or even I think probably we've been disappointed with draws at Chippenham, but if you've got a draw at Boreham Wood, again that would be in the context of where each team I think are going to finish. Again, it would be a positive result. Hopefully it's a scoring draw. If it is a draw, it's a scoring draw. You just want that little bit of positivity to come back, don't you? That little bit of that first step of momentum coming in our direction. That's really, I think, most of the fan base are looking for. You just want them signs to sort of them shoots of recovery. Not that I think we're in any danger at all, but you know what I mean. You can see what the management team are trying to build here, and you just want to see that sort of starting to produce. So with one of our forwards will score a goal again, with an assist, the other, all little things like that you look for, and that's what I think. We've just got to stick with it and just it will come, and we'll be fine. We'll look back on this period, after Christmas and be thinking, remember that time? Remember when we couldn't, score a goal and that, so it'll be fine. We'll be all right.
So remember, if you can't make it to the game, normally about this point I'd be telling you something about Stones Live here, but not this time due to the current radio media policy of the host club Boreham Wood. So you may still see Darren and or Nigel on the hot take, and you may or may not still hear them on the highlights once they're online a few hours after the game. But one guarantee here, of course, is that our very own Ben Austin, he'll be tweeting away furiously from the WD6 postcode area to keep you all up to date. So that's another preview done. Here's hoping we can enjoy the game at Boreham Wood and hope for that first win since opening day. So thanks again for watching, and as always,
Come on, you Stones.